you very much. Before we go on, let's do this.
ويحلفون بالله إنهم لمنكم وما هم منكم ولكنهم قوم يفرقون.
Thank you very much. We become part of the everyday activities, knowing fully well that people, administrators, and military officers want to know how P1 is, whether you're alive, whether you're dead, whether you're breathing in or out, and they've seen or found that instruction given to many countries or a single part of the world. You see hundreds of people trying to make sure that those instructions are carried out. So, no doubt, it's time to use that opportunity to actually not to destabilize, but to stabilize the government. When you say UN or in world United Nations, you must not forget that it is a whole of a 194. You should not have added the Vatican by all means, with no doubt, and 45, or like say 194, 95, including Palestine, Israel, and so many other countries that are having interests. The value of the United Nations is to finally bring up, say, countries of nation, continents as a whole. The word of God made heaven and earth, of which today Genesis 1 verse 1 tells us that in the beginning, God, that is His word, I mean heaven and earth. That is to say, this is heaven on earth. If He had made heaven and earth, that means this is heaven and earth. That kind of a heaven is for the flesh on earth. If you go deep, it lives in you. If this world had thrown such lights to our paths and life, you know, the earth as in planets, own budgets, and the Africa Europe budget is already launched in time. We could not actually budget for the world without a specific time. In that time, we need to calculate 366 billion between the Africa and Europe Union, which is about federalism, not again a union that is run up. It's about federalism. In such federalism, you have king, you have president, you have governor general, which is your king. Your king can say he doesn't have time for governor generalship of the Commonwealth, but moving all earth government into Lagos is an alternative so that we can secure just common a Camry 2011 at a rate of 2.5 million. It was God Himself that fixed this price. There's an Oma at Knowledge Lane that leads from the Cotton Junction Street to Ojuelegba Radio Stadium, which I call my home palace. I haven't been that I need to pass through Lagos, became their king. I have many other places where I'm king in, such as Port I in Ghana, and many other places like Yaoundé. So King Lagos is very important. Its phone code is O1, and it's a state of excellence. It was first forged as of when Lassie was in Europe many years ago. That we shouldn't forget Lassie, the state of Lagos, was created in the early 60s, May 27. My mom died May 27, and the heaven on earth issues she could not participate 2022. So Friday, just like today. You know, we understand what justice is, where it's a courtesy needing courtesy issues, matters at court. The morning of time that was 366 was to measure the days of a year, but we had it for 6 years. We then now divided it. That 6 year issue was the 6 hours between JMT and East End time, so around the east part of the world. We then took it up in division by year, and then we'll have it per week, and then we'll have it daily. We finally had 167 million now. Many areas should be looking for money. We fling it all up in 11 places, 10 places specifically. I'll tell you where the 11 come from. And then it was exactly 10 continents. Now, they need this money to build a state religion for themselves or some other critical issues that will be solved, of which started on the 14th day of October in the first, for the first week. Jeremiah was talking about king, God as host, prince, royalty. They're looking out for people to feed them, set food on their table in the presence of the enemy, to shelter them. Very, very necessary. A 167 million pound cannot do that, but can start at least one location and repayment institutions that focus on that. There's still more money on ground. The Earth budget itself, as federal government of the Earth military system of government, that consists of what presidencies, consists of Arch-Emperor. Now is my 37-year, 5 solid months as Arch-Emperor of the universe. And then it goes on and on. The morning of time, and as the Commonwealth, and as of the riches of the Lord, estimate for this year among 336 states, maybe we can have it all issues. It's of 167 million euro from global gateway into the windows of opportunity. It's opened up for every sex as the day goes on. Looking at 1, 2, you buckle your shoe. 3, 4, that which I buckle my shoe. 3, 4, I knock at the mosque at Alimosho in the estate, Repo estate, when they come together, peaceful estates. All this man cannot stop on the way of God Himself, who had made it possible. 5, 6, you pick a race. Which race will you pick? I'll tell you. Luke 9:56. You begin to go around town to tell people how much Jesus loved them. 7, 8. You make haste. I had first taken a walk down there, and God continued to push those vehicles to bless me. Wouldn't be grace. Just back at 7, 8 years ago, Raji Fashola was governor of Lagos. 7, 8 years ago, Muhammadu Buhari had been president of Nigeria. Even our transition, we must seat a 4,483 people. At least, people decided that they had a defense system. We are not to omit that. Nevertheless, the capacity of what you need is actually a 100,000 people capacity in a stadium, of which we've booked the solar to be my own palace as the new Lagos king. I have intention to make Nancy Pelosi the speaker. I have intentions to make Donald Trump the Senate president. I have intention to set up the defense system of the earth in Lagos. God asked me, why? I said, so that I can acquire the 2011 Camry and I can acquire the Oman that is of 88,700 and the subsidy on it alone, only God knows. You see those 7 and 8, 7 and 8, and then add them to the defense system of the universe members under the executive chief, Sia Kosovan. She's a lady. She gave us the anthem of the universe. You put your hammer as a word of God on, and I show you that I am, that I am. You put your hammer on, show that I am. I'm so powerful. I need no batteries to play. I'm like a poison. Indeed. And many more. I told her to try to edit it and let me have it again. Is rerunning 44. His name is Joe Biden. The 44th Ministry of America. Joe Biden was the vice president. And today, I am commanding him to rerun 44. He's not actually the 46th. Although 4 plus 6 is 10. Shall be a 9-year straight administration right from today. With Commonwealth of 167 million, which he need to establish a place for King George Washington, Albert, for the prince of the country, America. A place where people can be secured of some tokens for shelter and for daily bread. Not only that, that God in which we trust is our host. Despite Edo State's planet I'm still elected as the Chief Executive Interior for law enforcement. Everyone benefits everywhere. We have enacted 4 articles constitution for the world. The fifth article of the Earth is about the UN government, which had got a 7 or 8 uh, making hastes between the 77 section and 78 section. Not only Raji administration 7 and 8 years ago, the Buhari administration 7 and 8 years now, but also the United Nations 77 section/78 section will make hastes. The section might run together, you know my name. Had got 5 responsibilities, and this responsibility to band it to 5 parties, meaning you don't need to run more than 5 responsibility every 366 days. So right now, the 77 section and the 78 section are going pari passu. Or better still, that which has started it continue to make the place the star party junction of 5 responsibility that will be carried out by the 77th section and the 78th section, which are 2 permanent seats called the United Nations, calling the United Nations to come. They will increase from 194-95 to about the Vatican and Palestine and so on. And then when you make haste, then 9, 10 will be father. By 9, 10 will be father. 9, 10, we see 46. 4 plus 6 is 10. We are now running a 9-year straight as a 44th president. What Barack Obama did was uncalled for. When my mom so sick, May 27, fire dies like this, she passed on. Till we meet again. Barack Obama was told to visit my mom and take her to the States. Then we would now know what exactly to do. The sickness was so terrible. Her body was done. Then she passed on with some kind of significant back pain, leg pain, headache, a senior matron. She knows more medical issues more than almost anybody on the planet. She grew at age 6. She's Teresa Aderemi Almaya. She attended St. Teresa Nursery and Primary School. She attended school first at age 6. Although we know that we can build the philosophy around her, why she gave birth to like a prince or probably a king, but it had been just like that. Anyway, the core of parenthood is very necessary when their children are given birth to at any general hospital across the world. God has set a German foundation, and Olaf Scholz is the vice chancellor as well of the Armstrong University, where it is the headquarters of the military government of the Earth and all the planets around it, where I am the military head of states. at age 27. I derive all that till now. I want to applaud you to understand that which of the 7 and 8 that make Ace tonight. Where we've got already 6 hours into the East area, which were on Friday already there. That that's why it's at New York. You can make a late decision. Build 2 bodies. 7 make a haste. The most significant one there is that the 4 and 6 administration can't wait to be a big Hatton working under the ministry of the royalty of King George Bush, Albert, Washington, and his beautiful consort, Queen Laura Washington, Washington West Royal. From the 41st month or 41st week, America cannot deny it. It's dynasty. Now, let's go back and check the Constitution. And we've finally got the 5 articles. When is it Article 5? What does it mean? The first article is about our dynasty, such as that of Washington, in the beginning of the collections of in 1987 or 1887. That should be about 30 years after Buckingham Palace was built in 1837, of which, as we are running up our 18-month of transition, which we are fully loaded in the 5th Republic and the 5th section of the world in the Gateway program, which is a window of opportunity, a way into in time. There are funds for every day. So check 10 continents, we'll send the money into them. That's right there, we still have enough money to run Africa Europe Union, which is a federation and kingship and then governor generalship. All those seats, I take it in Africa myself. Who do I trust? 7, 8 make Ace. Just checking the time. There are still just about 13 minutes to go. So therefore, the 77 and 78 section you will run by pursue. It is a roundup. The 9, 10 there is America is the end of the result of the Charter for the United Nations. Themselves are returning to run their 44 again. They will never believe what Barack Obama did by denying to visit my mom, which later made her to pass away. He will regret just a matter of time. I'm going to jail him for life. So therefore, the God that called me is so powerful, very, very powerful, excellently powerful. And by the time we run our dynasties across the globe, we still have the second article that talks about Israel and Palestine, which any place we take there for Israel, we are going to build a handful of institutions, including the Heavenly Jerusalem, the Church of the Firstborn, Zion, that has 7 arms of government, such as Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. That's one that says Amen. The Philadelphia that has open the door, no man can shut, and shut the door, no man can open. Also, we have the 3rd article, even the 2nd article, that Palestine has 100% authority over Israel. Because the government we are having today were from Israel, not from Israel, we are from Palestine. And Israel is a nation given to the Jews. And unfortunately, it has been called the House of Judah many times. It has been called Zion many times. It's behind Israel to die. And God has to invest in the place. Even the whole of the Quran talks about Israel is a sovereign state, and until they do the will of Allah, it will never be. What is the will? I don't know for them. But Palestine has power over Israel. That's in the constitution. And the third one there, uh, it's about this wizard madness, the control of witches and wizards, that they are basically, when the head desificates, we have to daily, anyone that can arrest and catch a criminal known as witches and wizard. So those one you see there broadcasting without putting on their uniform, such as this, and the other ones, which are for senior officers and junior officers, they are witches and wizards. They're very, very disobedient to the action words, which are my conclusion tonight. The fourth dimension there is when issues leave either the president or the head of states, or like I basically the minister of state of planets, I can pass document to the defense. Basically, the defense will bring these are the loyal military officers around the world, War Treaty Organization. This one was formed in 2019, October 1st. They were the one who paraded in China for their 100, I think 98th year of democracy or communist, which assists us to have a communist party actually as a fifth party of the planet. These are very expensive issues. You need Boeings to fly, you need sub, you need sea, ship to run, carry goods, millions and millions, and then you can imagine an iPhone with components. Then you can browse, you can tweet, you can. Man, I tried. How come there are witches and wizards in it? So therefore, those ones in that area, in the third article, were treated very well to be stoned to death. And then, if you can present to the government one which I'll give you 10 million pounds, we just need that one for desertification. We need to kill it. It's like emissions in silences. Just everybody just have to do. Without desertification, there can be holiness and cleanliness. It's like many of them are trying to hunt me down as their own point of holiness. Finding fault anywhere. So, without knowing that I'm sealed with the seal of the Holy Spirit, I have grace and I must have peace in anything I do. I just exercise my own authority. But what is in my mind is to put bread on the table, to shelter them, to clothe them, and to continue to multiply the kings, the queen, through the right processes and the love that the ministry must have. To set up the ministry properly, 5 hubs for executives with the Justice Department, and to run it downstream to the police stations where they must all register themselves, including churches and mosques. If you don't register yourself by the courts, you won't be supplied those things that come from the Lord. Dell, laptops, printers, scanning machines to scan your passports, this and that. Just all the we are calling you to come and take. We're not telling you to give us. There's hundreds of issues around. Even my vehicle got specified. So I don't beg. In fact, just for me to have a vehicle, I took 2 people to become the third individual of the defense system. And I also choose the president of the UN 77 and 78 sections to become 2 of them, making 5 members of the defense system. The War Treaty organizations are all of those who displayed in China's 2019 Communist Day. And then by the time we then leave those third article, move to the fourth article, you see that defense, they are to submit document to me. I submit it to the Senate President, J. Trump, and his Vice Deputy, that's Chuy Omar. And then they forward it in 24 hours. They forward it to the rep which is the Speaker of the Rep, is still the Nazi police and in the world order, should then be able to call the Senate again into a Congress. Some people used to call it National Assembly, and then they'll be able to look into the matter and then they forward it quickly. For they sitting very fast like that, I used to give them a 100,000 pound each, and then they then put it to the good news YouTube. The YouTube good news is the Planet Legitimate Televisation Authority. That all those old gadgets, you throw them away. People must be able to select what they want to watch, not just displaying rubbish, thinking you are controlling the mind. You end up just wasting your time. Nobody's watching anything. And then we have them all to get on YouTube before I get a lay hands on them individually. And the fifth there is the 77 section and 78 sections around pari pursuit. They are the 7 and 8 we are talking about to make haste because Joe Biden is returning to the 44th president and 10 is counted. Kubarak had let my mommy die because of this plan. An asylum? I don't believe in that. There are other ways we can get into this. You can simply say, I have lived 9 months in the belly of my same mom, which you are talking about. And on May 10, 1985, I was born. The UN was 40 years old at that time. They are never 40. This is the World Trade Day. They tell us to tell you again. This same Friday judgment is going on. The record will be available no matter what. We only have 2 minutes to go. And justice is standing at the Economic Financial Crime Court, West Northeast Government, Ugu, mainland Africa, and the whole planet. The World Trade Center, now we're at the 2 towers. Tell me to tell you that Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, which actually make it heaven on earth. I wish you all happy Thursday.